Hi, and welcome to Talks with Shay. So today I would like to begin with reading from First Timothy chapter 5 and verse 8. And it says, "But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he had denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." So today, for part 2 of boundaries, I would like to talk to you about work. So when I'm talking about work, I'm talking about your job. We all have to work. At least somebody in our household is going to have to work to provide for the things that we need. So again, I'm touching base and talking about things this month from a book that I read called Boundaries, a book that actually changed my life. So one of the chapters in the book was dealing with work-related things. So I just want to share some of those things with you pertaining to the things they talked about in work, in our work environment, in our work situations, and different things like that. So one of the first things I want to talk about, it says getting saddled with other person's responsibility. And so what it talked about in that part is that it talked about, sometimes we have work and then other people come in like, can you do this for me? And can you do that for me? And then it takes you off of track for what you want to do. One of the unhealthy boundaries that we can find ourselves doing when someone is asking us to take on some of their responsibility, we're refusing to say no. It's okay sometimes to say no. We just don't have time to do it. Because what happens is if you start taking on other people's responsibility, you can become very frustrated because the things that you need to do sometimes get pushed to the back burner. And then it causes the pressure to come on you for those things that are for you to get done, for you to do, and you don't do them because you're so busy trying to please somebody else to do what they've asked you to do. We can overlook a lot of times things as if like I'm just being nice and I don't want them to be upset with me. That's my coworker, but there's always a healthy way of saying no. I don't have time right now. I don't think I can help you with that today. I'm sorry. I can't right now. It's okay to say those things. If we are not careful, we will have unhealthy boundaries with people that will continually put things on your plate that has nothing to do with your role and your responsibility at your job. And then you can become frustrated and resentful at that person because of what you're doing for them. But instead of you just saying, no, I can't, and you do it, and your spirit is all upset and you aggravated with that person, and it can cause different conflicts to happen in that relationship. And so then it makes it harder. You're probably more snappy at that person because you feel like they're always bombarding you with things. But guess what? A person will only do what you allow them to do. So if they are constantly coming to you and you're constantly saying yes, they're going to keep coming to you. It's going to make their lives easier, probably, and then yours more hectic because now you have your responsibilities to take care of and theirs as well. So get to a place where you're like, you know what? I just can't do it. I have enough things to do today. I don't have time to be able to help you. And it's okay. And that person may need to learn how to take care of their own responsibilities and better prioritize their day so they can do the things that they need to do for their role at their job. I think about different times in my relationships for coworkers or whatever. And I've looked back and I've seen so many changes with that. I've seen to where I had friendships with jobs, and then I've seen where I kept it separated. For me personally, when I chose to keep it separate was better because I seen the conflicts that happened when we were friends, hanging out and everything like that. And then if something happened while we're hanging out, all of that pressure is brought onto the job. And so then you have friction on the job because you and your friend them bump heads for something. So I had to learn long time ago, I'm not doing that anymore. I had to learn to divide the two. Leave business with business and pleasure with pleasure, like they say. And that's just some of the things that I've learned in my life to protect myself from, and to put healthy boundaries and say, this is only my job. Now, you have other people sometimes, even with unhealthy boundaries on the job. If you think about it, if you don't even like your job, one of the issues is it might be because that's not where your desires are. God has gifted each and every last one of us with a talent and a gift. Some of us have more than others. But if you're not working towards something that you love doing and enjoy doing, you have to ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose for being here? Because if you're always frustrated with your job, are you there because it's something your parents may have wanted you to do all their lives, saying that, okay, I want you to do this, or in our family, daddy had this business, and so we're going to carry it on, and we're going to keep bringing it down and down to every generation. If that's not what you want to do, don't do it, because then it causes you to dislike the job, and then you're doing it half-heartedly. So if you don't like the job that you're on, find your fit. Find that job that you want to do. I can remember years ago, I left the state, and I left it because it was too much stress, And so anyway, I remember my mom telling me she wanted me to take this specific job because it paid more, but the job that I wanted paid less, but it was what I loved doing. So I chose not to do what she said, and I did what I wanted. Now, was it hurting me a little bit? Yeah. Did she help me? She did. But she always had to remind me, if you'd have took that other job, I'm like, I don't like finances. Dealing with money and all of that kind of stuff like that. It was like this little loan company. I ain't never worked in that kind of business. I don't want that. And even though it would have been temporary, it's not what I wanted to do. So I had to wait it out, make less money, but in the end, I really enjoyed what I was doing. And even though the money seemed like, oh my God, it was hardly nothing, I knew God would make a way, and he did eventually. And I just stuck it out, but I enjoyed doing it. And so you have to find what your talents are and get jobs that you can grow in and that you love. I remember people once said that it's something like this. They say, if you find a job that you love, you will never work a day of your life. And I believe that, because if you enjoy doing it, it's pleasure. You're getting pleasure out of it, and there's more growth because you can, your talents and your gifts that God has given you will shine. And so find something that you enjoy doing, not just because it's a job to pay your bills, but there's a certain job out there for each of us. And we all have different gifts and talents. So if you're on a job and you dislike your job, find something that fits you. If not, you probably more than likely going to keep hopping job to job to job to job to job until you find that job that you truly love. So if you dislike that job, find another one. Pray and ask God to lead you to that job that he wants you to be on. Because if you think about it, working with other people is a ministry within itself. And so if you love doing it, you're going to come to work, and you're going to be more happy. You're going to be more jolly about going to do that job. So find that job that brings you the joy so you can explore all of the talents that you have, and you can experiment with all of the gifts that God has given you and blossom on that job. Another thing the book talked about was different conflicts with authority. And it talked about, if you're constantly having a problem with authority in your life, no matter where we go, we're going to have to follow rules, okay? We got to follow, like I said, the speed limit. We might not like it, but we got to follow it, or they're going to stop you and give you a ticket. So no matter what job you go on, even if you start your own business, you always have somebody you have to answer to some type of authority, whether it's the state themselves, whether it's government, whatever, IRS, somebody, you still have to deal with some type of authority. So if you're constantly dealing with conflict with authority, you have to ask yourself, where in my life was a damaged relationship with authority? Whether it was my parents or a grandparent that raised you or somebody like that was over you and had authority over you. And what happens is, the book said, it's called transference of feelings. And so you taking those old feelings from the people that had authority over you in the past, and you're bringing that into this current situation that you're dealing with the authority on your job. And so you have to always ask yourself, where is this coming from? You know, and this book helped me in a lot of different ways. Now, I don't really have problems with conflict with authority, but I recognize that even sometimes we may have constant conflict with authority, that it's an underlying factor from your childhood. And it's a good book. Y'all ought to read it. One of the other things it also talked about that I want to talk about before I conclude, it's maybe misplaced priorities. And so when you're misplacing priorities, you're all over the place, right? You need to have a to-do list, go down your list and prioritize things. If you are always doing things like, and we talked about organization, you know, but if you're all over the place and just not having your priorities right, you're going to be stressed out. You're going to be all over the place. Short with people, you have to prioritize yourself. And if that means telling people no, you have to tell people no. Working too late, if you're working too much overtime, it's time to cut it off. You have to know when is enough. Don't bring your stress from your job home. You have to deal with the stressors on your job at your job. If you're having conflicts with people and coworkers, at your job, deal with that. Don't let that conflict and that frustration be brought home. You're giving your job and the people on your job too much power in your life. Your job is your job. Yes, we need our job, and God is our ultimate provider. Yes, He is. But we need to be on a job where we can have healthy boundaries in place and saying no when we need to say no, instead of being afraid of saying yes, and then just because of how they're going to feel, they're going to get over it and they're going to realize, I'm not even going to ask her no more because, she won't do it. And it's okay. You're not there to make friends. You're there to get a job done. And that's what you have to remember. So saying no is okay. No sometimes is the best answer that you can give. And when you can't help, you will, right? But enabling somebody is never helping you or that person. It's unhealthy boundaries. I remember it even said in the book, we are called to this Christian life to sacrifice for people and do things out of love and kindness, but we're not called to enable them. So don't enable your coworkers and don't let them enable you either. If you recognize that there are some unhealthy boundaries that you have on your job, I'm here to encourage you to say no sometimes. It's okay. No is not always a bad thing. We look at it just because it brings rejection and sometimes friction, but it brings healthy boundaries. And that's what we need to work on having. Healthy boundaries on our jobs. So, before Shay go, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, check out my website at www.talkswithshay.org. You can find me and subscribe to my videos on YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook. Like my page, share my page, invite your friends to like my page. And until next time with Talks with Shay, Shay is out. Y'all be blessed.